Stefan Singer from Climate Action Network International. We are representing about 1,500 CSOs, NGOs worldwide to work on climate. So we are very happy to have been worked on the CCPI for a couple of years, this Climate Change Performance Index, and I will focus for CAN on two issues. One, addressing the laggards, as we see those, and then looking in the future of the coming year in 2021, what we want to see as CAN, because there's a strong urgency on climate. On the laggards, if you just look at the deep red on the right side, you see at the bottom United States, Saudi Arabia, and then you see also the Russian Federation on 52, and then the first one is Australia on 54. So we leave the others out for a couple of reasons, because these countries are deeply entrenched in fossil fuels. And they are representing less than one-tenth of the global populations, but are powerful countries among the rich nations in the G20 and in the OECD. These countries, all of them, have no proper federal climate or clean energy policy. They have no proper or adequate NDC, climate targets for 2030, to address the climate challenge for 1.5 or even 2 degree. They have no proper planning for doing so in the next years, unfortunately. The US, even at the bottom of the league table, the US has even left the Paris Agreement. Well, we hope with the new government, they will return to it pretty soon, but this is not good enough. We need more from the US, but we can talk about that separately. These countries are rich. If you see at the top, on the left side, the GDP per capita in so-called power purchase parities in dollars shows you that compared to the world average, all those 4 countries, Russia, US, Australia, and Saudi Arabia, are comparably rich, about 3 to 4 times than the world average, which includes those countries. They wouldn't be included, the world average would be lower. So they have the potentials and the opportunities to significantly support developing countries, which is very important for us, CAN, support developing countries, mitigation, adaptation to a large extent. Then the slide below, if you look into their footprint on the planet, you see that these 4 countries, Russia, US, Saudi, and Australia, have again 3 to 4 times higher CO2 per capita emissions of CO2, and the similar amount of energy consumptions per capita in terms of oil equivalents, tons OE per capita per year. The numbers are from 2018 and coming, by the way, from from the IEA. On the right side, you see these countries are also deeply entrenched in firing the world with their dirty exports on fossil fuels. If you just look into the global share of gas exports in 2019, then you see that 3 countries, Russia, US, and Australia, are responsible for about 50% of all gas exports worldwide. Similar with oil, it's Saudi, US, and Russia who are responsible for close to 40% of all oil exports worldwide. So they make lots of a fortune of their dirty exports. And Australia, on top of that one, is one of the largest coal exporters and building currently the large Adani mine in Australia, which, if all the coal is in there, is emitted, is burned and the CO2 emitted, this will account for about roughly 3 times the annual present CO2 emissions of the entire European Union. This Adani mine is the biggest coal mine probably ever built and ever opened. In case it's being opened, our colleagues fight against that one. Second point is, what do we want in the next year? We have an urgency. We have the highest ever CO2 concentration in the atmosphere. We have 2019, 2020 was a little bit of an exemption. 2019, the highest CO2 emissions worldwide. We need all countries to take early actions now, not long-term global net zero commitments to 2050 are nice, but they don't help us now to achieve the targets to stay on a trajectory for meeting and committing to the 1.5C survival target, which has been decided by the UNFCCC to be part of the Paris Agreement, and the IPCC, the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, has worked on that one. That means all the NDCs of the rich countries, climate pledges for 2030, need to be appropriately renewed, adapted, and improved to have early actions on renewables, on energy efficiency, on combating desertification, on combating deforestation, on all the gases we need to reduce significantly to be in line with 1.5C. And this shall all lead to a reduction of 50% of global greenhouse gas emissions by 2030 to give us a chance to stay in line with the 1.5C trajectory, which is a survival target for many developing countries. But we need also significant support for financing, for mitigation and adaptation for developing countries, which is fundamentally lacking by most rich nations. I would say for all rich nations. That would be my last points on this issue. And with this issue, I'd like to hand over to my colleague, Hadja Kamlici from Morocco, who will do a deep dive on that particular country. Thank you.
Thank you, Stefan. Thank you so much, Stefan. Well, Morocco ranks 7th this year, thanks to the strong renewable energy targets. Also, Morocco's decades on renewables has achieved 99% electricity access for all citizens. The NDCs are in line with at least 2 degrees trajectory, with overall still developing and poor country, with the GDP per capita slightly above the $3 in 2019, for comparison with Switzerland that has more than 25-fold higher per capita GDP. Morocco